Good afternoon, all of you students. Today I am discussing the last week advanced exam paper. Some students asked me some problems to explain here. Second problem. So second problem they asked. So you see in second problem, angular velocity of B with respect to A they asked. Angular velocity of B with respect to A. That means angular velocity of B is observed with respect to A. That means by standing here, if you observe the angular velocity of B, what it will be. That is, so angular velocity of B with respect to A is equal to relative velocity of B. Actually, omega is equal to V by R. So here relative angular velocity of B with respect to A means relative linear velocity of B with respect to A by relative distance of B with respect to A. We had tried. So that is equal to VB minus relative velocity of B with respect to A means VB minus VA, because VB and VA both are in opposite direction. You see VA in this direction and VB is in this direction because it is rotating in clockwise direction. A rotates in anti-clockwise direction. So this is VA. Okay, by RB minus RA. RB minus RA. Okay, so this is equal to VB means we can write VB is equal to V is equal to R omega. No? R means this is the midpoint because OA is equal to OB given. That's why if it is R, then this is also equal to R itself. Okay, then VB means R omega. R omega means R means distance of this point from this point O. VB means velocity of B with respect to O. That's why V that is equal to R distance of B with respect from O. That means 2R into omega. Omega means that is given as omega 2. Okay, so omega 2. Omega B is equal to omega 2 minus here VA. VA means it is in opposite direction. This particle is at a distance r. So perpendicular distance of this velocity from this point O is equal to r. So, but it is in opposite direction. So minus r into omega 1 whole by RB means 2r minus RA means r. So this is equal to when you cancel them, when you cancel r, then you will get 2 omega 2 minus or minus plus omega 1. So when you, but it is given as angular velocity of B with respect to A. That is given as from the problem A omega 1 plus B omega 2 given. When you compare these two, we got A is equal to 1 and B is equal to 2. Here they asked 2A plus 2B. Therefore, 2A plus 2B is equal to 2 into A means 1. So 2 into A. A is equal to 1. So 2 plus 2 into B means 2. So 4. So plus 4. That is equal to 6. So therefore 2A plus 2B is equal to 6 we got. So that is the answer. So therefore 2A plus 2B is equal to 6 I got. So this is the answer. Okay. In this way we have to do. So this is second problem. Next. Okay, next fifth problem you asked. If net torque on the rod is 0, then V by A value is so much. Definitely, here you see this length is equal to A, this length is equal to B. Whenever suppose if the center of mass lies here, is it possible to be in equilibrium? Because whenever net torque is 0 means suppose if the center of mass lies here, is the net torque becomes 0 if you consider the center of mass here, you see. If the center of mass is here, definitely about the center of mass of the rod, the torque due to F is in clockwise direction, torque due to F is also in a clockwise direction only. That's why net torque never becomes 0. That's why definitely center of mass lies somewhere here. Center of mass lies somewhere here. From this center of mass or from this midpoint of the rod, this 2F is at a distance, say 2F is at a distance, say X. Okay. Now you see from the diagram, problem. You see all of it. So total length of the rod L is equal to A plus B. We can write L is equal to A plus B. Suppose center is say O. This center is O. So from one end up to center, the distance is L by 2. No. So here suppose this end is say A. This end is say B. This end is say B. Then OA is equal to OB, that is equal to L by 2. Okay. Therefore, about the center of mass of the rod or about the point O, midpoint of the rod, torque due to 2F is in anti-clockwise direction, torque due to F is in clockwise direction. That's why there is a possibility to become the net torque 0. No? That's why about O, net torque you make 0. So about O, net torque, tau net is equal to 0. That means clockwise torque is equal to anti-clockwise torque. So about O, clockwise torque means due to F only clockwise torque is there. That's why F into perpendicular F into perpendicular distance of this force from the midpoint O means that is L by 2 only, no? So that is L by 2. We can write L by 2. Okay, is equal to 2F into 2F, that force 2F into, it is anti-clockwise torque due to applied force 2F into X. What is the X value here? That is important. Okay, A plus B is equal to length L. Okay, therefore F into L by 2 is equal to 2F into X means you see L by 2 minus A, no, because this length is equal to L by 2. From that you subtract A, then that gives this X only, no. So L by 2 minus X. L by 2 minus X. Okay. So here first you find the X value. Or other words, we can write L by 2 plus L by 2 minus, B minus L by 2 we can write. Okay, you better to write like that. B minus L by 2. Okay. So here, because up to this is it is B. Up to this it is B. So from the, as we need X only. So from B we subtract L by 2. So B minus L by 2. That gives directly B value, no? B minus L by 2. Okay. Now here F cancel. You cancel them. Do cross multiplication. L by 2 is equal to, you multiply with the 2. 2B minus L. Or that implies 2B is equal to, when you bring this minus L to left hand, you take LCM, then you will get 3L by 2, no? 3L by 2. Okay, therefore B is equal to 3L by 4. Then what about A value? Because they asked A by B, no? So A value, A is equal to, as B is equal to 3L by 4, A is equal to L minus 3L by 4. L minus 3L by 4 means L by 4 only, no? L by 4. Therefore B by A is equal to 3 only, no? B by A is equal to 3. So this is one interpretation. Based on one interpretation, you will get the B by A ratio is equal to 3 in this way. It is the case whenever the center of mass or center of gravity lies exactly at the midpoint, like this. Okay. Or in other words, or another method about B, because as it is net torque is 0, particularly about this point or about that point net torque is 0, that is not mentioned. That's why about any point we can take net torque and we have to make them equal to 0. So about B, if you take net torque is 0 as the rod is under equilibrium. So about B means due to F clockwise torque acts and due to 2F anti-clockwise torque acts. Due to F clockwise torque is equal to F into A plus B, no? About B, that is equal to anti-clockwise torque 2F into that the perpendicular distance of 2F from this point B is equal to B only, no? So 2F into B. Of course, FF cancel. So A is equal to B, no? So when A is equal to B, then B by A is equal to, you will get 1. So this is one more answer. So answer may be 1 or 3. Anyone is correct. As they mentioned about which point the net torque is 0, that is not mentioned. That's why B by A is equal to 1. It may be 1 or 3. That is the answer. Okay. Next, sixth problem. All of you see. Sixth problem. A uniform rod. The thin uniform rod of mass m, length L is hinged at one of its ends so that it can freely rotate about a horizontal axis passing through it. That means the rod can rotate in vertical plane. It is released from horizontal position. Okay, initially the rod is like this. Initially, the rod is like this. Initially, the position of the rod is like this. Whenever it is released, then immediately the rod here, whenever it is released, because of torque due to weight about the point O, the rod rotates in vertical direction, and whenever the rod comes to the lowest, rod becomes vertical. So whenever the rod becomes vertical like this, whenever the rod becomes vertical, what is the tension in the rod at a distance L by 3 from hinge? So L by 3 means suppose here, this distance is L by 3. So whenever the rod comes to vertical, at the time at a distance y is equal to L by 3. Y is equal to L by 3. What is the tension in the rod? That is the question they ask. So at this point, what is the tension means? At this point, whatever the force acts in vertically downwards direction, because whenever the rod is released from horizontal position, at the time, the whenever the rod comes to vertical position, the center mass comes down through a distance. The center mass comes down through a distance. This one, suppose this is a center mass. Say, center mass comes down through a distance equal to L by 2 when rod becomes vertical. So it loses potential energy. That potential energy is gained by the rod in the form of rotational kinetic energy. So that's why it acquires some angular velocity. Due to that angular velocity, some centrifugal force acts on the rod at this point. At the same time, from this point, whatever the weight of the this rod hanging from this point, that weight also added. So total tension at this point is equal to the force which is the lower part of the rod from this point is pulled downwards. That is the tension at this point. So tension at that point T is equal to tension at that point T is equal to weight of this part suspended. Suppose from this point, here weight of this part is say small m into z. Of course, here mass of the rod is given as capital M, no? Small mg plus weight of the force acts at this point due to rotative motion. Centrifugal force acts on the body due to rotative motion. Okay, for example, suppose you consider one element here. Okay, when you consider one element here, from this axis of rotation, this is at a distance, say y. At a distance y. Okay, length of the element is say dy. Okay, now what is the centrifugal force acts on the acts at this point due to this element? That is equal to mass of mv square by r, or mr omega square. So dm into r. R means because when you consider this element will travel along the circular path of radius equal to y only. That's why dm into y, mr omega square. So angular velocity square. So it is the force exerted by this element at this point. So this type of elements can be imagined from y is equal to L by 3 to y is equal to L. No? So that's why you integrate between the limits. Y is equal to L by 3 to L. That gives the total force. So from L by 3 to L, when you integrate them, you will get the total force due to rotative motion. What is the angular velocity effect? Suppose this is say equation 1. Angular velocity acquired means according to, because that is constant. So according to law of conservation of energy, whenever the rod comes from horizontal position to vertical position, the center mass comes down through a distance equal to L by 2. That's why loss of potential energy of the rod is equal to mass of the entire rod mg into h. H means L by 2. It is the loss of potential energy. That is equal to about this end as it is rotating, it is equal to gain in rotational kinetic energy. No? So half I omega square about O. Okay. Therefore, mg L by 2 is equal to half into moment of inertia about one end. As it is rotating about one end, moment of inertia is equal to ml square by 3. No? So ml square by 3 into angular velocity. So from this, if you simplify if you calculate the angular velocity, then you will get angular velocity is equal to 3z by L. You will get 3z by L. You will get okay 3z by L. Now from equation 1, this is a equation 2. So from 1, tension the string is equal to mg. Mg means mass of the rod from this point below this point. That means as 1/3 of length is there, so below 2/3 of length is there. That's why mass of the remaining part is equal to 2/3 of the total mass. Now that's why mass is equal to small m is equal to here mass small m is equal to 2/3 of total mass. 2/3 of total mass into G plus as omega square is constant, you write outside because for each and every particle in the rod, omega is same. That's why omega square you write outside. Omega square into integral y is equal to L by 3 to L into dm means mass per unit length of the rod is capital M by L. Then the length of this element is equal to dy. No, for that length, what is the mass? Means into dy into y into y. Already omega square is taken outside. So therefore, this is equal to 2 capital M Z by 3 plus omega square means we can write 3z by L whole square. 3z by L whole square into M by L is also constant, you write outside. M by L into integral y dy. Y dy means y square by 2. Limits L by 3 to L. When you simplify them, then you'll get, you see, 2 capital M Z by 3 plus, when you simplify this, you will get 4 mg by 3. 4 capital mg by 3 you will get. Therefore, total tension at that point is equal to 5 mg by 3 you will get. This is the tension in the rod at a distance L by 3 from the end about which it rotates. That means here from this point O. Okay, but it is given as AMG by B. That is equal to A capital mg by B. So when you compare these two, then that implies A is equal to 5, B is equal to 3 we got. Then A plus B they ask. So A plus B is equal to 8 you will get. No? A plus B is equal to 8. What is the value we got? No, sorry. Here 2 mg by 3 plus here 4 mg by. So here 6 mg by, sorry, here 6 mg by 3, no? 6 mg by 3 means mg by 2. 2 mg you will get, that's all. 2 mg you will get. T is equal to simply 2 mg you will get. That means A is equal to 2 you will get. Of course, here you will get okay. So here when you add them you will get 6 mg. That's called 2 mg you will get. No, when you compare them, A is equal to 2 and B is equal to 1 you will get. Okay, therefore here A plus B, 2 plus 1, that means 3 you will get. So 3 is the answer. Okay, yeah, 3 is the answer. Okay, next, seventh problem you see. Seventh problem. There is a square plate of side 2A having uniform thickness and density. Okay, there is a square plate, you see. Here there is a square plate of side 2A from which its shaded portion is removed. That means that is 1/4 of the square plate that is removed, such that the mass of the remaining portion is capital. Actually, the total mass of the square plate is say 4m. That means there are three. This can be imagined as the combination of the 4 identical plates. Each square plate is having mass say small m. Then 4m is the total mass of the square plate when no part is removed. But remaining mass is given as when one square plate, one part is removed here. It is divided into 4 equal parts. If one part is removed, then remaining mass is equal to, when it is divided into 4 parts, each part is having mass small m. As the mass of the remaining part when one part is removed is 3m. That 3m is given as capital M. Okay, that's why 3 small m is equal to capital M. So small m is equal to m by 3 we can write now. Small m is equal to m by 3. Now, whenever this part is removed, about this axis, what is the moment of inertia they asked? So moment of inertia about the given axis for the remaining, moment of inertia remaining about that axis is equal to, first of all you feel that there is no any part is removed. Then about the diagonal of the square plate, what is the moment of square plate without any part removed? Moment of inertia of the total square plate. So moment of inertia of the total square plate. Total square plate. From that moment of inertia of the this small part, moment of inertia of the removed part, about the same axis we have to find. That means the moment of inertia of the remaining part. Okay, here this is equal to moment of inertia of the entire square plate. Means what is the total mass of the square plate? Total mass of the square plate is equal to 4m. We have to write this in terms of given mass, given symbol. Symbol means capital M is given, that is the mass of the remaining part. Okay, so 4 into small m can be written as m by 3, no? M by 3. It is the total mass of the square plate when no part is removed. Actually, about this axis moment of inertia means, in case of the square plate, you consider this is one axis, this is another axis. These two are perpendicular. Apply the perpendicular axis theorem. Here, this is x-axis, this is y-axis, this is a z-axis. About z-axis, moment of inertia of the square plate is equal to ml square by 6. No, that is equal to ix plus iy. Ix, iy both are same. That's why 2ix is equal to ml square by 6, or ix is equal to ml square by 12. That's why about this axis, the square plate moment of inertia is ml square by 6. That's why total moment of inertia is equal to mass of the entire square plate into ml square. L means side. Side is 2a. So 2a whole square ml square by 6. Sorry, ml square by 12. No, about diagonal ml square by 12. Okay, this is the total moment of inertia of the square plate when no mass is removed. When no mass is removed. Okay, minus moment of inertia of the removed part about the same axis. Therefore, moment of inertia of the removed part about the same axis means passing through center of mass of the removed part and parallel to given axis, moment of inertia is equal to small like same, but mass of the removed part is small m. No, that's why according to parallax axis theorem, Iz means moment of inertia of the removed part about an axis passing through given axis and passing through center of mass is equal to same formula ml square by 12 only. But L means side. Side is equal to a here. That's why mass of the removed part m, because only one part is there, no, m into side a. That's why a square by 12. Okay, plus it is Iz plus mass m into distance between the two parallel axis square. Distance between two parallel axis means this one. That is equal to, if it is a, this is equal to root a. Half of this one means a by root 2. So a by root 2 whole square. That's why we had to write a by root 2. So a by root 2 whole square we have to write. Okay. Okay. Therefore, small m means equal to capital M by 3. No, you substitute there. You see, m dash means 4m by 3. 4m by 3 into 4a square by 12. Okay, minus here small m means m by 3. So you write m by 3 into a square by 12 plus small m means m by 3 into a square by 2. A square by 2. Okay, therefore, if substitute, you simplify them, then you will get moment of inertia of the remaining part, I remaining is equal to, you will get capital M A square by 4 after simplification. Capital M A square by 4. Okay, but it is given as MA square by, this is given as MA square by n. So n is equal to, of course, n is equal to 4 we will get, but they asked n minus 1. So n minus 1 is equal to question mark. That is equal to 4 minus 1. That is equal to 3. No, so 3 is the answer. Okay, 3. Yeah, 3 is the answer. Okay, this is the 7th problem. Next. Okay, next you see. Next 8th problem. A thin rod free to rotate about a horizontal axis through one of its ends. O. Okay, that is released from position 1. So position 1 means vertical. You see, position 1 means that is vertical. Whenever it comes to the position 2, at position 1, its angular velocities at position 2, 3 and 2, 3 are omega 2 and omega 3. Whenever the rod comes to this position, angular velocity is omega 2. When rod comes to the third position, means horizontal, angular velocity is omega 3. Okay, now what is the ratio between omega 3 square? So here they asked omega 3 by omega 2 whole square they ask. That is the question. Okay, to find the angular velocity, you see in the diagram, you see here. Okay, you see here, this is the position of the rod actually. This is the position of the rod, and it is the final position of the rod. Okay, here the central mass of the rod is here. The central mass when rod comes to this position is here. Central mass when rod becomes horizontal is here. So initially central mass is at this height. Finally central mass is this at this position. So whenever the rod turns through an angle 60 degree with vertical, up to what distance central mass falls? That is say H1 or H2 say. Okay. Whenever the rod becomes horizontal, through what distance central mass fall means that is the third position of the rod. That's why the some distance through central mass falls is a H3. Okay. So whenever the rod rotates through an angle 60 degree from vertical, at that time central mass falls through a distance equal to H2. That's why it loses potential energy. So the loss of potential energy, say delta U. The loss of potential energy delta U is equal to gain in rotation kinetic energy, no? Because about one end it is rotating. That's why it is equal to gain in rotation kinetic energy, half into I omega square. That is equal to, okay, that implies the loss of potential energy is equal to mass of the rod into G into height up to through which the central mass falls. That is equal to gain in rotation kinetic energy means half into, as the rod is rotating about one end, then moment of inertia is ml square by 3 into angular velocity square, half I omega square. Here this is constant. Okay, mg is constant. So angular velocity square is directly proportional to h only, no. So there are two cases. Omega 3 by omega 2 they asked. Omega 3 by omega 2 whole square is equal to h3 by h3 by h2. Okay, that is equal because omega square is proportional to this one h, no. That's why h3 by h2. H3 means whenever the rod comes to horizontal, up to what distance the rod central mass falls means that is equal to half of the height, half of the length of the rod. That's why h3 is equal to L by 2. Why? What about h2? Here you see, here whenever the rod is vertical, central mass is here. When the rod makes an angle 60 degree with vertical, then central mass is here. So what about this? What about this length? This is L by 2 because it is central mass. So this is L by 2. Their component along this direction is equal to L by 2 cos 60. So this is L by 2. This is L by 2 cos 60. So what is the height up to which it falls means L by 2 minus L by 2 cos 60. L by 2 minus L by 2 cos 60 means L by 2 of 1 minus cos 60. Okay, here L by 2 cancel, then you will get 2 only, no? After simplification, you will get 2 only. So omega 3 by omega 2 whole square is equal to 2. Yeah, 2 is the answer. This is only answer. Okay. Okay, next, ninth problem you see. Three identical rods are placed along X, Y, Z and axis with common end points as origin. So here these rods are represented with red color lines. So there are three identical rods that are kept along X, Y, Z axis respectively, so that one end of all the first end of all the rods are coincident at the origin. Okay. Here rods now the moment of inertia of the system about different axes are I1 is equal to Ix. The moment of inertia of the system about x-axis, about y-axis, and about z-axis. They are Ix, Iy, and Iz. It is given. Okay, now I1 is equal to Ix, I2 is equal to Iy, and I3 is equal to Iz given. Okay, now about a line 4x plus 3y. That means this is a line. Here, this is the line 4x plus 3y. This is the line 4x plus 3y. Okay, here this is the line 4x plus 3y is equal to 0. Okay, or y is equal to minus 4 by 3 into x. That means here tan theta is equal to slope tan theta is equal to 4 by 3, no? 4 by 3. That means theta is equal to, that means of course minus means in this direction or in this direction. With x-axis the angle made is equal to 4 by 3 means that is equal to 53. We can write 53 degree. That's why with x-axis this is equal to 53. If it is 53, definitely this is equal to 37 degree. Okay. Now then I3 is equal to I1 plus I2. You see I1 and I2. What about I1, I2? About this axis, what is the moment of inertia? Here about I1 axis or about x axis or about y axis, about z axis. Symmetric. That's why I1, I2, I3 both are same now. About x axis, these two are perpendicular. That means about x axis moment of inertia means Ix is equal to, you see, Ix is equal to, this rod is having no moment of inertia about this axis. Here about x axis, here the moment of inertia of this rod means x axis passing through one end and perpendicular to length of the rod. That's why ml square by 3. All are identical. That's why ml square by 3. Plus for this axis, for this rod, ml square by 3. That means 2 ml square by 3 is the moment of inertia of the rod about x-axis. Similarly, about y-axis, about z-axis. That is equal to Ix plus Ix, that is equal to, sorry, Iy, Iz. Okay, now you check here. I3, I1 plus I2. I1 plus I2 means I1 means Ix, I2 means Iy. So I1 plus I2 means that is equal to 4 ml square by 3. No, definitely that is greater than Iz. That is greater than Iz. So that's why option B is correct. Okay, next, what about I4? How we can find I4? You see, about this axis, here this I4 axis, I4 means about this straight line. Moment of inertia of this rod. No doubt for this straight line, this rod along that axis is perpendicular to this axis. That's why ml square by 3 only. So I4 is equal to the moment of inertia of the rod. Moment of inertia of the first rod is actually the here this is the axis passing through one end and makes an angle 53 degree with the rod. That's why moment of inertia is ml square by 3 into sine square theta. Theta means 53 degree. Plus for this rod, moment of inertia is formula is same. Ml square by 3 sine square 37 degree. Okay, plus here about this axis, this rod is perpendicular to its axis and passing through this axis passing through one end. That's why ml square by 3 only. Ml square by 3 only. Of course, if you find this one, I think you will get ml square by 3 only. You see, ml square, the sine 53 means we can write 4 by 5. 4 by 5. So ml square into 4 by 5 by 3 already here plus ml square by 3 into sine 37 means 3 by 5. Okay, plus ml square by 3. So here 3 cancel. Okay, therefore 4 ml square by 15 plus ml square by 5 plus ml square by 3. So this is equal to, when you take LCM, 15 is LCM, then 4 ml square plus 3 ml square. 7 ml square by 15 you will get, no? Or you take total LCM. 15 is the LCM. Okay, then 4 ml square plus 5 3s are, that means 3 ml square plus 3 5s are 5 ml square. That is equal to, when you simplify them, you will get 5 3 8 8 4 12 12 ml square by 12 15 12 ml square by 15. So definitely this is 3 4s are 3 5s are 3 4s are 3 5s are. Okay, therefore that is equal to 4 ml square by 5. 4 ml square by 5. Okay, sorry, here you see sine square 5 by 3, no, that's why you will get 16 by 25 you will get here. Okay, okay, here you see. So I4 is equal to ml square by 3 sine square 53 plus ml square by 3 sine square 37 plus ml square by 3. When you simplify them, then you will get, when you simplify them, you will get 2 ml square by 3. You will get 2 ml square by 3. You will get. That means that is same as Ix, Iy, Iz only, no? That's why now I4 is equal to, you see, I4 is equal to, you see the third option, I4 is equal to I1 plus I2 by 3. I1 plus I2 by 3. You see, I1 plus I2 means I1 is equal to 2 ml square by 3. 2 ml square by 3 plus 2 ml square by 3 by 3. Okay. So I4 is equal to, we'll have, okay, here it is 2 only, no? It is 2 only. Okay. I1 plus I2 by I1 plus I2 means I1 is equal to 2 ml square by 3. I2 is equal to 2 ml square by 3 means 4 ml square by 3. 4 ml square by 3 by 2. So that is equal to 2 ml square by 3. That means I4 is equal to I1 plus I2 by 2. Already I4 is I1 plus I2. When you substitute here after simplification, we got 2 ml square by 3. But I4 we got 2 ml square by 3. No, that's why this equation is also correct. No, this relation is also correct. But I4, I1 both are equal. Here I4 is equal to I1 only. I4 is equal to I1 only according to the formulas. 2 ml square by 3. I1 is equal to 2 ml square by 3. I4 is also equal to 2 ml square by 3 only we got. So here I4 greater than I1 is given. So it's not correct. Okay. So this is the answer, right? Okay. Next you see here 10th problem. In the figure shown, system is in equilibrium. The system is in equilibrium. Here this is one rod. These all are identical rods. Okay. The length of each rod from this point of suspension up to this end left side up to left end, that is L by 4 given. So it is L by 4. This length is L by 4. This length is also equal to L by 4 given. When different masses are suspended, the system is under equilibrium. When system is under equilibrium, whatever the masses. But here M4 is given. M4 is equal to M4 is equal to 48 kgs. That is given. M4 is equal to 48 kgs is given. Okay. Now, as the system is under equilibrium, about this point, say 1, about 1, this is 2, this is 3. So, about 1, you see, about the point 1, as the system is under equilibrium, net torque is 0. Net torque means about 1, weight of this mass, M4Z. M4Z, it is in clockwise torque, M4Z. That means weight into perpendicular distance from the point O is L by 4. L by 4 is equal to torque due to the weight in this direction. Here you see, as at this point, as the system is under equilibrium, total weight can be imagined here, no? That means M1 plus M2 plus M3 into Z. That acts here. M1 plus M2 plus M3 into perpendicular distance 3L by 4. So M1 plus M2 plus M3 into Z into perpendicular distance 3L by 4. Okay. So torque due to this weight, total weight in this direction, torque due to total weight in this direction about this point, both are equal in magnitude, but opposite direction. That's why net torque is 0 as it is under equilibrium. Okay. So here from this we can have L by 4, L by 4 we can cancel, G we can cancel. Okay, then remaining is M4 is equal to 3 into M1 plus M2 plus M3. You will get. This is equation 1. Okay, next similarly about 2. About point 2. Apply the torque concept here under equilibrium. So about 2 means at this point, torque due to weight M3 into L by 4, M3Z into L by 4. That means you write simply M3 M3Z into L by 4. L by 4 is equal to, at this point total weight suspended is M1 plus M2 into Z. M1 plus M2 into Z into this, at this point the total weight is M2Z plus M1Z into this length 3L by 4. 3L by 4. Therefore, M3 is equal to M1 plus M2 into 3 you will get into 3. Okay. That means M3 is equal to 3 into M1 plus M2 you will get. This is equation 2. About 4. About, third point. About third. About 3. Okay. About 3. M2Z acts in this direction, M1Z acts in this direction. Okay, that's why targeted to weight M2Z about this point 3 is equal to M2Z into L by 4 is equal to M1Z into 3L by 4. That's why M2 is equal to, we can write 3M1. This is equation 3. Okay, we solve these three equations 1, 2, 3. Already M4 is given. When M4 is given, then from equation 1, M1 plus M2 plus M3, M1 plus M2 plus M3 is equal to, you see, M1 plus M2 plus M3 is equal to M4 by 3. M4 is 48. 48 by 3. So that means 16. This is 4. Okay, next you see here, we need the masses M3, M2, M3, M2, M1 also. M3, M2, M1. Okay, so here you see, M1 plus M2 is equal to M3 by 3, we can write now. M1 plus M2 can be written as M3 by 3, we can write here. M1 plus M2 here from 2 is equal to M3 by 3 plus M3 is equal to 16. So 4M3 by 3. 4M3 by 3 is equal to 16. Implies M3 is equal to, we can write 12 kg now. M3 is equal to 12 kg. So that option is not there. Okay. Next, what about M1? We had to find M1. To find M1, first we had to find M3. M3 already we got 12. Next, M1 plus M2 is equal to, okay, here we see from 3 and 4. From 3 and 4, M2 is equal to 3M1. From, you see in 4, M1 you keep like that only. That plus M2 means we can write 3M1. Plus M3 means we got 12 is equal to 16. Plus 12 is equal to 16. It is 16. Okay, therefore 4M1 is equal to 4 or M1 is equal to 1 case. M1 is equal to 1 case. So this is correct. So M1 is equal to 1 case correct. M3 is equal to, we got 12, but 12 is not there. So that is not correct. 12 is not there. M2 is equal to 16 by 3. You see, M2 is equal to 3M1. That is equal to 3 kg only, no? But here 16 by 3 is given. So these are not correct. So only one option. Option D is correct. Okay, that is the answer. Okay, next, the 11th problem you see. 11th problem. A horizontal force F is applied on a uniform hollow sphere of mass m and radius capital to keep in equilibrium. This force is applied. So whenever this force is applied, you see, this force is acting along horizontal direction. Okay, you write horizontal direction. Resolve this force into components, two components. One is along inclined plane, perpendicular to inclined plane. If it is theta, definitely this angle is theta. This angle is theta. Okay, then this component is f cos theta, and this component is f sin theta. This f sin theta is perpendicular to the plane. That's why next, at the same time, weight component, weight mg, no, you resolve that weight into components. One component in this direction is equal to, of course, if it is theta, this is equal to theta. So weight component here is mg cos theta. Here it is mg sin theta, weight component. So in this case, normal action is in this direction, perpendicular to plane of contact. This is the direction of the normal action. Okay, now keep the body in equilibrium. Suppose you see, if mg sin theta greater than f cos theta, then the sphere try to slides down. In that case, friction acts in upward direction. Okay, upward direction. So there is a friction is non-zero. In this case, friction is non-zero. That may be correct. Or if f cos theta component is greater than mg sin theta, then the sphere try to move upwards. In that case, the friction acts in downwards direction. That means non-zero. That means A is also possible, no? A is also possible in this case. That's why A may be correct in one version. Because it is not mentioned that it is moving upwards or downwards, it is not mentioned in the problem. That's why A may be correct in this version. If for A. F cos theta not equal to mg sin theta. In that case, definitely friction exists. Friction is not equal to 0. That's why option A is also correct, because it is not mentioned. Is f cos theta, mg sin theta both are equal or not? It is not mentioned. That's why they may be different. In that case, there is a non-zero friction. Suppose if f cos theta and mg sin theta are equal for B. If f cos theta is equal to mg sin theta, then these two forces are cancelled, so that there is no tendency for the sphere to move upwards or downwards. That's why no friction exists. So in this case, friction is equal to 0. So this is also possible in this case. Whenever these two forces are equal, then F is equal to, we can write mg tan theta. No? If friction is 0, then F is equal to mg tan theta. There is also a possibility, mg tan theta. So that fourth option is also correct. That means if B is correct, D is correct. These two are correct in second version. In first case, if they are different, then definitely this is correct. That's why A, R, B, and D. This is the situation. Okay. This is 11th problem. Next. Next, you see, if the system shown mass m is equal to 2 kg, R is equal to 1 meter, m is equal to 1 kg. That means this mass m is equal to 1 kg given, and this mass m is equal to 2 kg given. Of course, here radius R is equal to 1 meter given. 1 meter given. Okay, consider the moment of inertia of the pulley as half small m r square is given. Actually, moment of inertia I is equal to m r square, capital M r square by 2, no? Because mass of the pulley is given as capital M. That's why capital M r square by 2. That is not given, but here it is given as small m. By taking small m, if you find the moment of inertia, you won't get any option in this. That's why this was deleted. But if it is okay, if this moment of inertia is equal to capital M, then how we can do the problem? So here you see the weight mg acts vertically downwards direction. Small mg acts vertically downwards direction. At the same time, tension acts in upward direction. The same tension acts on the pulley downwards. Okay. Now, whenever the block is released, the block comes down with certain acceleration. Say A. Definitely, it comes down with certain acceleration as it is a frictionless pulley. Now, mg greater than t, no. So for block, we can write mg minus t is the net force acts on the block downwards, which is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, this is equation 1. We know already m is known, small m is known. You substitute here. This is equation 1. For pulley, because of the start tension acts on the pulley as an external force, and it acts in downwards direction. There is a torque due to friction, torque due to tension. T into Kepler. T into Kepler, that means tension into perpendicular distance about this point O is the torque due to tension. That is equal to I alpha. I is the moment of inertia of the pulley about this axis. Okay, that moment of inertia is directly given by using the data here. You substitute them and you simplify them, you will get that value. So TR is equal to I into alpha. Alpha means we can write A is equal to alpha, no? Because with what acceleration the block comes down, with the same acceleration, this point on the circumference of this pulley comes down. That's why tangential acceleration of this point on the circumference of the pulley and the acceleration of this block both are same. That's why tangential acceleration A is equal to R alpha we can write. So from this alpha is equal to A by R. A by R. Okay, from this T is equal to here I is given as capital M R square by 2 into A by R. Do cross multiplication. You bring this R also to right, then 1 by R. So R square cancel. Then MA by 2 you'll get, no? M into A by 2. It is equation 3. Of course, this is equation 2. This is equation 3. Okay. Now you substitute this T value in 1. You substitute this T value in 1. Okay. When you substitute T value in 1, then you will get A is equal to 3 in 1. That means mg minus T means capital M A by 2. That is important. Capital M small m, that is very, very important. Is equal to small m into A. You substitute the value and simplify A, then you will get 5 meter per second square. So acceleration is 5 meter per second square. Therefore, tension is how much? From 3. tension T is equal to Kaplan A by 2 we have. A value we know. Kaplan means what is the Kaplan value? 2 case into A means 5 we got by 2. That is equal to 5 no. So T is equal to 5 Newton. So one answer is there. T is equal to 5 Newton. So this A is correct. Similarly, what is the angular displacement of the disk in 4 seconds? Angular displacement of the disk in 4 seconds means it is A, B. To find the angular displacement in 4 seconds, we need the angular acceleration. A is called R alpha. No? Found that alpha is equal to A by R. Alpha means 5 by R means that is equal to 1. So 5 radian per second square. Angular acceleration we got. Initially, whenever the block is released, the pulley starts their rotator motion with zero angular velocity. That's why omega naught, initial angular velocity is 0. Okay, angular acceleration is equal to 5. After time t is equal to 4 seconds, it is given 4 seconds. What is the angular displacement? They asked. Theta is equal to question mark. So from theta is equal to we have omega naught t. S equal to ut plus half h square, just like half alpha into t square. Everything is known, it is 0 because omega naught is 0, 0. Then half alpha means 5 into t square means 4 square. Okay. Then 16 into 5. No. 4 square means 16. 16 by 2 means 8. 8 into 5, 40. That's why theta is equal to 40 you will get. Theta is equal to 40 radians you will get. So this angular displacement is also there, but here angular displacement unit is only radians, not radian per second. So of course, if you consider that unit radian, then B is also correct. Work done by the torque as the constant torque, because I is constant, alpha is constant. That's why work done by torque means force into displacement, just like here torque into angular displacement. Torque is equal to I into alpha into angular displacement theta. Okay, I is known, alpha is known, theta is known. If you substitute, then you'll get 200. 200. Or increase in kinetic energy. Work done is equal to, according to work energy theorem, work done is equal to change in rotation kinetic energy only. No? Because in case of pulley, what is the change in, they asked, increase in kinetic energy of the disk. Disk only they asked. Increase in kinetic energy of the disk means pulley. Pulley is the disk. So increase in kinetic energy of the disk is equal to work done by tension on the pulley only. That's why whatever the work done, that is equal to change in rotation kinetic energy of the pulley. That is equal to work. That is equal to 200 joule you will get. So that work done is correct and increase in kinetic energy of the disk is also correct. These are the problems from 12th one. Okay. So, but here as the as moment of inertia is given as small m r square by 2. If you substitute small m value as one case here, then you won't get any answer. That's why this problem was, I think, deleted. This problem was deleted. Okay. Next, you see a particle of mass m. A particle of mass m is attached to one end of the uniform rod of mass Kaplan. This Kaplan is equal to 2m is given. Okay, this is suspended from the midpoint by means of inextensible string. Okay, now a particle of mass small m is suspended at one end. Okay, and this rod is suspended through midpoint by means of inextensible string. The rod is released from horizontal position. So just after release, whenever the rod is released from horizontal position, definitely as it is suspended from this point, about this point O, the rod will turn like this. No, whenever the rod turns, then what is the angular acceleration they ask? So about O. About O. What is the torque due to? Of course, as this weight of the rod passing through this point only, point of suspension only, no torque due to weight of the rod, only torque due to weight of the particle is there. So torque about O, torque due to weight of the particle means mg into perpendicular distance L by 2, because length is given as L by 2. Okay, that is equal to I alpha. That is equal to I alpha. I means moment of inertia of the system about this axis. Moment of the inertia of the system about this axis means rod moment of inertia is there, particle also moment of inertia is there. Rod moment of inertia is ml square by 12, no? Ml square by 12, capital M square by 12, plus moment of inertia of the particle means m into perpendicular distance of the particle from this axis of rotation is equal to L by 2 whole square. That means L square by 4 into alpha. So everything is given. Okay, except L, everything is given. Then if you simplify them after substitution, then you will get alpha is equal to 6g by 5l. You will get 6g by 5l. You will get. So that answer is correct. So option A is correct. Okay. Next B is not correct. If A is correct, then what about the tension? Tension the string they asked. Okay. To find the tension in the string, then okay, you see, whenever the rod is released from horizontal position, immediately at that time, the forces acts on the rod are tension acts on the rod at the midpoint upwards. Okay, the weight of the rod acts vertically downwards direction, capital MG, and small mg also acts downwards direction. Because of that, as it turns like this, at that instant, whenever the rod is released, the central mass of the rod, suppose central mass of the system is here, then central mass of the system comes down with an acceleration ACM, say. Get the central mass lies. At what distance central mass lies from the point O, that is say x. Okay, we had find. So this x is equal to distance, it is say O, distance of central mass x is equal to this x is equal to the total distance between the, here in case of rod, total mass can be imagined at the center midpoint, that is capital M. Here small m is there, both are separated by distance L by 2. Okay, now where the center mass lies? Center mass lies at a distance equal to x is equal to from this end, from this midpoint, the distance of center mass x is equal to m by, that means small m by this distance, total distance L by 2 by m1 plus m2 means capital M plus small m. Okay, when you simplify them, then you will get L by 6. So this x is equal to L by 6. X is equal to L by 6. Okay, now you apply the Newton's law formula, Newton's second law. So at the instant whenever rod is released, capital Mg acts downwards direction plus small mg also acts downwards direction, and the tension acts in upward direction. It is the net force that is equal to total mass of the system m plus small m into acceleration of central mass ACM. Acceleration of central mass ACM. Okay, from this tension here ACM means how we can write, where ACM is equal to, already angular acceleration remains constant. Now we got about this point, angular acceleration of any point in this rod remains constant, even central mass also. So ACM is equal to R alpha we can write now, because acceleration of the central mass is along this direction, which is the tangential direction at that point as it rotates like this. Okay, ACM is equal to R alpha. R means x into angular acceleration alpha. X is equal to L by 6 we got, into angular acceleration means we got already 6g by 5l. 6g by 5l. L cancel, 6 cancel. That's why g by 5. So ACM is equal to g by 5 you will get. ACM is equal to g by 5 we will get. Okay, now you substitute there. So mg means 2mg, capital means 2m into g plus small mg minus t is equal to 2m plus m, 3m into g by 5. Okay, therefore capital T is equal to 3mg minus 3mg by 5. Okay, the 15 minus that means 12mg by 5. You'll get 12mg by 5. Already tension T is equal to 12mg by 5 is there, no? Tension T is equal to 12mg by 5. So that is there. So option C is also correct. Okay. Okay, you see, a rod of mass m and length L is hanging from the ceiling by two strings as shown in figure. At T is equal to 0, the string at Q is cut off. The string is cut at this point, at Q. At Q, of course, this is cut like this. Then immediately, about this point, the rod starts turning like this, no? About this point, just after cutting, what is the angular acceleration, etc. They ask. Whenever the string is cut here, no tension acts at this end. Only at the midpoint of the rod, the weight mg of the rod, m capital Mg acts in downwards direction. So about P, arc tau is equal to weight mg into perpendicular distance. That means mg into L by 2. That is equal to I alpha. We can write
because here angular acceleration also they ask no, mg into L by 2 is equal to I means about P, the moment of inertia of the rod means that is the point, that is the axis passing through one end perpendicular to length. That's why ml square by 3 no. So ml square by 3 into angular acceleration alpha. So here mm cancel, L square cancel. Okay, then 3z by 2L you will get no 3z by 2L. Yeah. Alpha is equal to 3z by 2 capital L you will get. So this is the angular acceleration. If angular acceleration is this one, then what is the acceleration of center of mass? So here A is correct. Then what is the acceleration of center of mass? B. Acceleration of center of mass means this is only no acceleration of center of mass ACM is equal to R alpha. Perpendicularly here acceleration of center of mass in this direction that is equal to R into alpha. R means L by 2. R alpha. R means L by 2 into alpha means already 3z by 2L. We have LL cancel. This L and L cancel. Therefore, acceleration of center of mass is equal to 3z by 4. We can write 3z by 4. So that is also correct, but it is moving downwards now. That's why downwards we can write. So this B is also correct. Okay, next tension in the string. You see here at the instant whenever this string is cut, at the time the tension in the string is set T. Weight mg acts downwards direction. So for option D. So on the rod at the instant whenever it is released, on the rod whenever it is horizontal, at the time weight mg acts downwards and tension upwards. Even then, as the rod comes down like this only, that's why mg minus T is the net force, that is equal to m into acceleration of center of mass at that instant whenever string is cut. So from this T is equal to mg minus m into ACM. Mg minus m into ACM. ACM value is substitute. So after simplification, mg minus m into ACM means already we got 3z by 4. So T is equal to, you will get mg by 4 no, mg by 4 you will get. So mg by 4 is the tension. So that is also correct. So that is also correct. Option B. So A, B and D are correct. Okay. Next you see the axis of rotation of a body in pure rotation. Axis of rotation of a body in pure rotation must pass through its center of mass. It is not compulsion. No? In case of pure rotation, the axis of rotation need not to pass through center of mass, because in pure rotation already we know. In case of pure rotation, so about this axis also the or disk may be rotated about the center of mass they rotated. It is not necessary to pass through center of mass, so that is not correct. May pass through center of mass, may passes. Of course, about this axis the rod the disk may be having rotated motion. No? So this is correct. The B is correct. Okay, next must pass through a particle of a body. That means the axis of rotation may pass through any point here, may pass through any particle, may pass outside the body also. Here there is no particle. So about this axis also the rod rotates. Suppose you take the disc like this. About this axis also this rod disc rotates like this. Here there is no particle. That means the axis of rotation need not pass through any particle. That's why may pass through particle or may not be. That's why this is also correct. B and D are correct. Yeah, B and D are correct. Okay. You see 17th problem. Rigid body can be hinged. Rigid body can be hinged about an axis parallel to z-axis, passing through x-axis. Here, rigid body is hinged about an axis parallel to z-axis and passing through x-axis. When it is hinged about an axis passing through x00, its moment of inertia is okay. Moment of inertia is given. Now, okay, you see here this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. The moment of here, the moment of inertia of the rigid body, which is hinged about an axis parallel to z-axis. Parallel to z-axis, here there is one axis. You see, this is the axis parallel to z-axis, passing through certain point on x-axis. So this is the point which is at a distance x from the origin. About this axis, the moment of inertia is given as this one. Okay, now the coordinates of this point are x00. That means this axis is at a distance passing through x-axis and at a distance x. X coordinate of central mass of a body. X coordinate of central mass of a body means here you see about this axis x coordinate of central mass. Central mass means definitely about the center of mass. The moment of inertia is minimum, no? That's why if it is to be minimum, then differentiation of this with respect to x must be 0. That's why you see for I minimum is equal to I center of mass. About center of mass axis, the moment of inertia is minimum. That's why if it is minimum, then di by dx is equal to 0. So when you differentiate this one, then if you simplify them, then you will get x. You differentiate them and make them equal to 0. Then you will get x is equal to 3. So x equal to 3 matrix is correct. So this is the answer. But here, what is the mass of the body? That is the question. What is the mass of the body? Here, mass of the body they asked. So central mass is at a distance x, no? Center of mass is at a distance x. Okay. Okay, now you see about this z-axis, moment of inertia Iz. About this z-axis, moment of inertia Iz is equal to parallel to the z-axis passing through central mass of the given body. Moment of inertia is Iz plus mass m into distance between these two square means x square. So distance between these two axes is we got 3, no? So Iz means as x is equal to 0, you substitute because about the z-axis which is passing through origin, x is equal to 0. When you put x equal to 0, I is equal to 27. No? That's why here it is 27 is equal to Iz means moment of inertia about an axis passing through center mass parallel to given axis. That is minimum moment of inertia. At x equal to 3, the moment of inertia is minimum. No? You substitute this x equal to 3 in this equation. So minimum moment of inertia or moment of inertia about center of mass, that is equal to Iz or I minimum is equal to 2 into 3 square minus 12 into 3 plus 27. If you simplify them, then you will get 9. This is equal to 9 you will get. You substitute here 9 plus m into x means 3 we got 3 square. Okay, therefore from this if you calculate m value you will get 2 I think 2 case. So 2 case is the answer. 2 case. So option 1 is correct. Yeah. Option 1. Okay. Next. Okay, you see the door of an almirah is 6 feet height. So the height of the almirah is 6 feet. Height is equal to 6 feet. Okay, and the width of the almirah is 1.5 feet wide. Wide means breadth we take. B is equal to 1.5 feet. It is given. This almirah door is fixed at 2 inches. No, here there is 1 inch. 1 hinge is there here. There is 1 hinge. Here also 1 more hinge is there. These 2 hinges are fixed at a distance 1 feet from the bottom and from the top at 1 feet distance. Okay, here already we know weight of the almirah acts vertically downwards direction. Weight of the almirah mg acts vertically downwards direction. Due to that, about this lower hinge, say it is O. This is say O. This is say A. About O, or it is say A. It is say A B. Okay, whatever it may be. About O, because of this weight, this almirah try to rotate in anti-clockwise direction. That's why this almirah pushes this hinge in this direction. Then at the same time, the hinge pushes the almirah in towards left. That's why normal reaction acts on the hinge in this direction. As the almirah is pulling the hinge towards right, immediately the hinge pulls the almirah towards left. That's why normal action acts towards left. That is equal to say this is equal to say n1 or this is equal to okay n1. Okay, whenever it try to turns it try to turns in this direction. This hinge whenever this almirah try to move in this direction, immediately here the hinge exerts the reaction force on the almirah towards right now. So towards right, N2 reaction force acts. Here, whenever this hinge, here this almirah try to turn in clockwise direction, this hinge is pulled in this direction. Immediately, the hinge exerts the reaction force on the almirah in this direction. Next here, this almirah whenever turning in clockwise direction, this
here this hinge is pulled in this direction. The hinge is pulled in this direction. Okay, that's why normal action acts on the hinge is in this direction only. Normal action acts on the hinge in this direction because this door pushes the hinge in this direction. While it is turning in clockwise direction, immediately the door pushes the hinge in this direction. So reaction force acts exerted by the acts on the hinges in this direction N2. Next, at the same time, at the hinge, upward and downward forces acts now. Upward force acts here now, that is F1 along this direction, F1. Here, F2 also acts. F2 also acts in this direction because weight try to pull the weight of the almirah try to pull the almirah door in downward direction. At the same time, along vertically upward direction, F1 F2 acts in upward direction. Okay, so along vertical F1 plus F2 is equal to weight mg. That is one equation. Okay, along horizontal, it is along y-axis. Along horizontal means along x-axis. Along x-axis on the door only two forces N1 and N2 act. That's why N1 is equal to N2 as they are in opposite direction. Okay, both N1 and N2 both are equal. Okay, now here one point is given. If the magnitudes of the forces exerted by hinges on the door are equal, by means of hinge, this F1 acts in this direction, N1 acts in this direction. The resultant of these two is in this direction. No? The resultant of those two is equal to square root of, as they are perpendicular, F1 square plus N1 square. Similarly, square root of F2 square plus N2 square. As N1 N2 equal, definitely F1 F2 are equal. When F1 F2 are equal, then F1 plus F2 is equal to mg. No? From that we can write 2F1 is equal to mg, or F1 is equal to F2 is equal to mg by 2. mg by 2. M is given. Mass of the almirah is 8 kgs. That's why 8 into 10 by 2. That means 40. No? So F1 is equal to 40 Newton. This is the force exerted by. Here they ask the horizontal force exerted by hinge on the door. No, it is the force exerted by hinge on the door is approximate. No. It is the vertical force exerted by hinge on the almirah. What about N1? What about N1? Can you see? F1 is equal to 40 Newton you got. Next, about any point you apply the torque concept. About any point we need one more relation. No? About any point O, say. About O. Because no torque is there about O because of hinges. So about O, torque due to weight mg into perpendicular distance means that is equal to half of the breadth. That means b by 2. It is in clockwise direction. Similarly, torque due to this normal action N1 acts in this direction. So that is in opposite direction. Both are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Torque due to N2, F2, F1 all are 0 because F1, F2, N2 pass into this point about which torque is considered. That's why due to N2, F2, F1, torque is 0. Only torque due to weight and torque due to N1 acts. What is the torque due to N1? So N1 into perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance means this total height is 6. This total height is 6. Okay, this is equal to 5 because it is 1 feet, no 5. 5 minus 1, 4. That's why this is equal to 4. You have to substitute 4 feet. It is in feet. So you substitute B also in feet only. So mg into B means that is equal to 1.5 by 2. It is also substituted feet. Here also it is substituted feet. N1 into 4. Okay, of course mg you know. So from this we can find the N1 value. So when you simplify them, N1 is equal to, you will get 50 Newton. N1 is equal to 50 Newton you will get. Of course N2 is also equal to same because N1 and N2 both are equal. No? N1 is known, F1 is known. Therefore, net force exerted by hinge on the door. Net force exerted by hinge on the door is equal to F hinge. That is equal to square root of F1 square plus N1 square. We can write F1 square plus N1 square. Square root of F1 square means we got 40. So 40 square plus N1 square means we got 15. So 15 square. So when you simplify them, approximately you will get 43 Newton. But of course, if you simplify them, you will get 42.72 Newton. That is nearly equal to 43 Newton. 43 Newton. So this is the net force exerted by hinge on the almirah. Okay, these are the problems. Right. Okay, Nana, have a nice day.